Corsa E and DVXR 3-inch ultimate exhaust system. So this is a full exhaust system for the Corsa E and DVXR of all years with the twin exit diffuser. So that's Corsa Nürburgring, Corsa Club Sport and Corsa E VXR. So fitting a full 3-inch exhaust system is one of the best ways to get loads of noise and more power from your Corsa. Now, the way we do that is by removing the cats and the standard kind of restrictive silencers and going for a bigger bore pipe work. You allow the turbo to get those gases out much faster, which increases turbo response, less turbo lag, and allows the engine to make more power. And because of the bore and the smaller silencers, we're also really reducing the amount of noise reduction the standard exhaust can do. This exhaust is not designed to reduce the noise that much. It's designed to enhance the exhaust note as much as possible, and with this being the ultimate exhaust, make it as loud as possible. So starting at the downpipe, we've already got a separate video on this, so we'll put a link to that in the description, but this fits all Corsa VXRs. If you were just fitting the downpipe, it's only suitable for A16 and B16 engines. But if you're fitting it in conjunction with the secondary section, which you would be doing, if it was a full exhaust system, it'll fit all Corsa VXRs, because we are removing that difference in the 3-bolt flange down here, so it'll fit all Corsa VXRs. Moving on, we've got the secondary section. So fully TIG welded, 3-inch, back purged TIG welds, interlock line stainless steel flexi, O2 sensor boss. So again, if you're fitting this with no cat in place as a turbo back exhaust system and you want a sports cat, that will go at the rear of this section into this sleeved in section just here. This is the best place to put the cat, but the O2 sensor wiring for A16 and B16 engined Corsas and Corsa E VXRs is further up, and that's because the primary cat is in the downpipe. So if you're fitting a sports cat, you will still get the O2 sensor engine management light, and that's because we've got no cat here, it's further down the car. So your car would pass an emissions test, but would fail on that engine dashboard light being on. So we would recommend fitting a lambda sensor spacer, and that should solve your problem. If it doesn't, you're going to need to get that light taken out with a remap. You don't need to have a remap, the car will still run fine, but if you want that light taken out, the only way to do it is with a remap. Now you can also fit this exhaust as a catback. So for A16 and B16 engined Corsas and the Corsa E VXR, this secondary flex section here will bolt straight up to the standard cat. Now that means that you then won't get that dashboard light because you've still got the primary cat in place and it'll still pass an MOT emissions test. That's a really good point to note, is that this exhaust will fit the stock cat, and that's great if you want to run a DCAT and you want to put that cat back in at MOT time. That way you won't have to pay the extra for a sports cat if you don't really want one. A lot of people want a sports cat because it's the only way to get through an MOT, but if you've got an A16 or B16 engined Corsa or a Corsa E VXR, this exhaust system will bolt straight up to that cat. So come MOT time, you can just swap this cat out, put your standard cat back in, and it'll go through an MOT no problem. So that is a real advantage of this exhaust system, and splitting it here with this 3-bolt flange. So following on from the downpipe section and flex cat section, you then come into this resonated center section. And obviously we do this as a non-resonated version as well, which is essentially a straight pipe. This will knock off 5 or 6 decibels, maybe more. I would definitely recommend going for a resonated center section if it's a daily driver and you're going with a DCAT. Even with a sports cat, I'd still recommend going for the resonated centre section if it's a daily driver. This exhaust system is loud. So we tend to sell mostly non-resonated, and maybe 1 out of 2 customers will come back and get that resonated centre section. It's borderline too loud for a daily driver where you've got to drive quite far. One of the things that we always knew when we were developing this is that most Corsa owners did want a really loud exhaust system, but obviously everybody's requirements are different. So some people are driving their car a lot every day, and if you are, you definitely are going to want this resonated centre section. So then we move on to the over axle section. So this is fully mandrel bent, TIG welded and back purged. We've got our hanger bracket locators on so that the exhaust bushings can't slip off. And then we move on to the rear section. So when we were originally developing this, we knew we needed to make something that was loud, and we also wanted to make something that was really aesthetically pleasing, so looks really unique. There's definitely nothing like this on the market. Again, fully 3-inch TIG welded, back purged, really nice hand TIG welds. 2 silencers after this 3-inch split, and then it drops down inside these silencers into 2.5-inch exits with these big 4-inch slash cut tips. We do offer other tips: carbon, outward rolled and titanium. So the gases will come in over the axle and then down into this split section. So we want to keep this 3-inch split section nice and flowing, because that's how we're going to split off those gases, get them coming out both sides the same, so we don't have kind of unequal length both sides, because that really messes with the kind of noise that the exhaust makes. We want to keep it nice and even, reduce those sizes down to get them out of the 2.5-inch tips nice.